guys. Welcome back to Beth's Naughty Reads. I'm Beth LaMontagne, and I hope you guys are excited to talk about Nisha J. Tuli's Trial of the Sun Queen. Before I get into the book, let me give you guys a few reminders. If you will, please go out and follow me on all the socials. So you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook under Beth's Naughty Reads. Also, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Provide me some feedback on any of these socials, I guess, any of these outlets. I love to get feedback, or if you have recommendations, I've been getting some great recommendations. I'd love for those to continue to come in. So like I said, we're going to talk about Trials of the Sun Queen. It is a book by Nisha J. Tuli. Like I said, she is a USA Today and international bestselling author of glittery fantasy worlds, steamy rom-coms, and kiss scenes full of angst. This is the first book of hers I've read. Let's be honest, I'm so far into the series now, I feel like I should say I'm now a cult follower. But it is the first book I read. I saw it pop up on social media, and it looked interesting, and I decided I would give it a try, and I'm super excited I did. You know, but looking at her catalog, I feel like there's going to be so many more opportunities for me to get into her stuff, because she does really have some great, interesting stuff out there. She's not just a romantasy writer. She has some rom-coms out there. So I feel like you could probably get her in any genre and enjoy her books over and over again. So let's talk a little bit about the Trial of the Sun Queen. So the Trial of the Sun Queen is book 4 in the Artefacts of the Ouranos series. It is a total of 4 books, and it does take place in like a fae world. It is a slow burn, and it's a very slow burn romantasy. It has a few triggers, but after my last book review of Forgive Me, Father, I don't think I have any other triggers anymore. So unless it's really abrupt, I don't think I'm triggered anymore. So, but take a minute to look at them and make sure you feel the same way. I want to talk a little bit about the characters. So the main female character, her name is Lore. That's all we know her as. She has 2 siblings. You kind of go into this not knowing a lot about her, because you learn that she's been imprisoned in a labor camp for the last 12 years. Her identity and her family history have been stripped from her. So I believe she went in, she was 12, and she's like 24, 25 now. And she knows nothing about her family or where she came from or how she got into this labor camp, other than that she's there with her 2 siblings. And they know something's going on, but they don't know quite what. She is the baby. So she actually knows the least of all 3 of them. But they've had some inklings of what's going on. Lore, you come to find out through the series of the book, she's very protective of her sibling and those she loves, and she will, you know, no miles too far to travel for those she wants to ensure are safe and loved. So the first book actually has 2 main male characters. So I don't know if you can call them main male characters, but I'm going to anyways. The first one is Atlas, the Sun King. He's very charismatic, has a great gift of gab and getting people to believe the words coming out of his mouth. He is Lore's biggest fan, and she's not sure why he likes her so much. She has a feeling there's some ulterior motives in there, but he does really root for her throughout this book and through the trials I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. But there's just, she's rubbed wrong from him. So, you know, you've got to keep that in mind as you begin to run this book. The second male character is Nadar, and he is the Aurora Prince, who is the son of the guy that captured her family and threw her into the labor camp. He tortured and killed her parents, and she saw all this. And so while he's a main character in the book, she's very hostile towards him initially from the start. There's also a second male character, Gabriel, and the reason why I bring him up is he's a big part of the book. As you go through the series, all 3 of these people play a huge role in the book. Gabriel is Lord's, they call it a ratter or handler, if you will. So he is actually tied. His life is tied to the safety of the king. The magic they have on them, they cannot lie to him. They cannot go against what he says. And he is directly serving the king, but he is her handler. And so his duty is, while she's in the land of the Sun King, to keep an eye on her. They develop a really strange friendship. It's very much a love-hate relationship. Like one minute they're really nice to each other, and then the next minute they're like giving each other like a really hard time. But it is some of the fun parts of the book. So it is kind of an interesting dynamic. I will tell you the story opens up with Lore in Nostraza. That is the where the labor camp is located at. And so you do start off with a great line, like she's calling somebody a bitch, the very first line of the book, because somebody has stolen her soap. The soap is something she did some things for that she is not proud of to get that soap. And so it's kind of like a rarity, almost like a commodity, if you will. And her arch nemesis has stolen it. So she does get into a fight within the first few minutes of the page, and she gets thrown into the Hollow, which is like solitary confinement, but survivor style. It is out in the open. It is in the woods. They bring them no comfort, so they get no water, no food. They're open to the it's open to the elements, and there's open to creatures that live in the woods. So not only is she having to figure out how she's going to get food and water while she can't get out of this hole, she is also trying to figure out how she's going to stay alive and not become food for one of the creatures out there. She is assigned to this camp for 2 weeks, which really kind of freaks her out because she's been in it once before and she was only in there a week, and she almost did not survive that week mentally and physically. So she basically is writing herself off at the beginning of the book because there's no way anyone can survive 2 weeks at the Hollow. A prison riot occurs while she's in the Hollow, and it basically is a, honey, what do you call it when it's something to call your attention away from something else? Thank you. It's a distraction. Woo! It's a distraction so that people come in and can kidnap Lore. So she is basically on her last leg. She is out of it. She is, hallucinating. She's starving and hungry and thirsty. And she just knows, she doesn't know what happens, but all of a sudden there's a stranger, and all of a sudden it's blackout. And she wakes up in the Sun King's kingdom. And she is now being forced to compete in the Sun Queen trials to become the Sun King's queen. I say force, so she kind of looks at it like she keeps calling it a kidnapping. There is a moment in the book where she's talking about how luxurious the bed she's woken up in is, like got satin sheets, and she's wearing a satin nightgown, and it's so clean and soft and comfortable that this can't be right because she knows she's been kidnapped. But is she really going to fight that hard if this is the lifestyle she gets to live as a kidnapped person? Which is really funny. But she is forced to compete in the trials, and the trials are a test of wit, physical endurance, and grace. They are meant to push the contestants to their wits' end, so they want to see how the future queen will possibly act in different scenarios, and those are what the tests are supposed to put her through. She is the final contestant, and she is made out to be somebody she's not. So they tell her she's the final contestant, taken from the poor part of the Sun King's land, and all 9 other contestants initially agree that she should not be there. She doesn't deserve to be there. She's just dirty trash, essentially. Through the trials and through her taking care of some of the people and helping some people as they probably should have died if it weren't for her, she does make a couple friends. She makes a friend called Halo and Marisi. And these 2 friends, they don't play a huge role in book 1, but you do see to start their characters get more involved as you go through the series. You do see that at the end of the trial, Lore uncovers more of her hidden identity. So they have to, if they get through the trial, the remaining, whoever many are left at the end of the trial, have to go and talk to the mirror. And the mirror gets to decide if they're going to be the queen or not. And she has to go through that conversation with the mirror. And that's when she uncovers more of her identity and more of what her goal should be through this series of this book. It's a 4 series. The first book was really super easy to get through, so I felt like it was just going to be a fun series through. I will tell you that I looked at a couple reviews, so I'll share a couple with you. The first one is Nicole Zagarena. She gave it 4.5 stars. She says, well, it's 3 a.m. as I write this review, so clearly I enjoyed this one. I was looking for a fantasy series to get me out of my slump, and this one delivered. The world building wasn't heavy and the plot was easy to understand. It's a fast romantasy book with deadly trials. An MMC I truly hated, some spice, found family, and lots of secrets to uncover. The next one is from Meredith, and she says, plot, character, action, world. She said, 4.5 stars. I enjoyed this book so much. That bitch stole my soap. The first line in the book, and I was sold. That's the line I was telling you guys about. The story was interesting. The characters were intriguing. The world was described so beautifully, and the magics were creative. The FMC was well written, and her attitude and action matched the trauma of her life. I'm looking forward to learning more about her in the next book and seeing the interactions between the two. And then finally, out of France, Dace Sarah said, I was captivated from the very first page and completely engrossed until the end. This is yet another book I just couldn't put down. What I especially love was a refreshing take on the FMC. She's not yet another 18-year-old who's going to save the world, but a true adult. She's witty, intelligent, and sharp tongue, and I am genuinely excited to follow her on her journey. So my overall, let me try that again. My overall ratings on the book was a spice of about 2 jalapenos. It comes across, they do explain it's a slow burn, and they aren't kidding. There's a few little spicy moments in the book, but nothing to write home about. It does, the spice does get more involved and a little steamier as the series goes on. I will say that my star rating is a 5 of the storyline altogether. It's exciting. It's fun. It definitely keeps you enthralled and wants you to keep going with the series. It's a great adventure, and there's twists and turns are nonstop. So you never know what's around the next corner. Let's see. It is I'm already on book 4, so that clearly tells you that I'm enjoying the series. Each book gets a little longer and longer. So I will tell you that I think book 1 started at 9 hours. Then we were at 11 hours for 2, 12 hours for 3, and up to 13, almost 14 hours for 4. Book 3 to me seemed to drag on a little bit, but I get it. There was some building that had to happen. So I would say, if you make it to book 3, just kind of fight through that, because book 4, it starts to pick up again. I'm about 20% through that book, and I'm right back to where I was, like just eating it up and wanting to find out what's going to happen next. So there's never a dull moment. Let's see. I will say where it can get a little challenging is there's lots of characters and perspectives and past and future and all these different histories that you kind of have to stay upon to get the understanding of what's happening in present day. I felt like Nisha was prepared for that, so she did put in a glossary of all the characters at the beginning of book 3 just to kind of refresh your memory of who is what and where and when, which I found very helpful. I will continue to finish the series and let you guys know what I think of book 4 as I go through it. Let's see. Now, I will encourage you guys to go check Nisha's social media. You can find her on Instagram and TikTok as Nisha JT Writes, no spaces. On Facebook as Nisha J. Tuli, just regular spelling. And then she also has a website, and she's on X. I just don't follow those, but you can find her in those as well. I'll also encourage you guys, if you're looking for a fun podcast to watch, check out The Bar's Open. It's my show that I do with my husband, and it's just a good time. Nothing too serious. We have some beverages and have some fun, so I hope you'll join us on that as well. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.